At the edge of Dawnlight Grove. Lilia did not realize she had wandered off the path until the forest turned very quiet, as if it were holding its breath. One moment she had been following the moss-lined trail near her grandmother's cottage, and the next she stood in a clearing drenched in twilight that could not possibly exist at this hour. Twilight, but deeper, richer, shimmering. The air glowed faintly gold as though dusted with crushed stars. Flowers Lilia had never seen, wide-petaled and luminescent, opened toward her like tiny lanterns. The trees arched overhead into a cathedral of intertwined branches. Everything pulsed with soft, breathing magic. She knew exactly where she wasn't. Home. A prickle of unease slid down her spine. She spun around, searching for the trail she'd surely just stepped off. But behind her the trees shifted with a slow, graceful sway, closing ranks. The path was gone. A whisper threaded through the leaves, almost like a voice. A mortal. How rare. Lilia backed away, her heart thudding. Her pulse felt too loud in this strange, sparkling silence. "Hello," she called into the grove. "Is someone there?" A shape coalesced from the shadows between two silver-barked trees. Tall, broad-shouldered, draped in dark green that blended seamlessly with the deeper hues of the forest. His hair fell in moonlit waves, silver with streaks of deep jade. His eyes, his eyes were like shards of frozen starlight. He was not human. Every instinct in her knew it. "Who are you?" Her voice quavered despite her attempt to steady it. He did not answer. Instead, he tilted his head slightly, studying her with an expression between distrust and annoyance, as if she had interrupted something important. A gentle wind wrapped around them, shifting the world like a curtain. His presence deepened, resonating with the air itself. And then he spoke, his voice smooth but edged like cold steel. "You should not be here, mortal." "That wasn't exactly my plan," Lilia muttered, nerves prickling. "I think I'm lost." "You are more than lost," he said flatly. "You have crossed into Dawnlight Grove. A place hidden from your kind for 1,000 mortal lifetimes." His eyes flicked over her, almost like he doubted what he saw. No human should be able to enter without invitation. Lilia swallowed. "Well, I'm very sorry for trespassing. If you could just point me back to wherever the exit is. I'll get out of your hair." His expression did not change, but something tightened around the edges. "At twilight," he said, as though delivering a sentence, "no gateway may be opened. The grove seals itself until the first ray of dawn. You cannot leave until sunrise." The words hit her like icy water. "Sunrise?" Lilia took a step closer, desperation creeping in. "No. I need to get home now. My grandmother, she's alone. She'll worry if I'm not back by nightfall." "Your concern is irrelevant here," he replied, crossing his arms. "Rules bind this place. And I am the keeper of those rules. So you're telling me I'm stuck in a magical grove with a stranger until morning?" "Gatekeeper," he corrected stiffly. "Not stranger." Despite everything, the fear, the glowing plants, the very real possibility she had stumbled into some impossible Fey realm, Lilia nearly laughed. "Fine. Gatekeeper. What's your name?" He hesitated. Then, reluctantly, "Rian." "Rian," Lilia repeated, partly to test its sound. It felt like a sigh and a promise all at once. "I'm Lilia." "I know," he murmured. Lilia blinked. How? He did not answer. Typical. She hugged her arms around herself, the cool air brushing her skin with tender curiosity. So what happens now? Now, he said, we wait. Waiting, as it turned out, meant walking, or rather, being shepherded, deeper into the grove toward a hidden pool that glimmered like liquid moonlight. Rian moved ahead with a purposeful stride. Lilia hurried to keep up, nearly tripping over a root that twisted playfully out of the soil. The grove felt alive. Watching. Leaning in whenever Rian wasn't looking. Lilia caught him glancing back at her more than once, as though expecting her to disappear. Or explode. Or something equally dramatic. The thought made her oddly bold. So, she ventured, do you guard lost mortals often? His jaw tightened. I do not guard mortals. I guard the threshold between realms. But tonight, I'm here. And you're stuck with me. You are not my responsibility. That's not what it looks like. His glare could have frozen fire. A thin smile tugged at Lilia's lips. Something about his frustration eased her fear. It grounded him. Made him real. When they reached the shimmering pool, he stopped and motioned for her to stay put. This is the heart water. Its light wards away what should not approach mortals. Well, that's comforting, Lilia murmured. What shouldn't approach me? He did not answer. Which did not help. He gestured toward a fallen log near the water. It looked more like polished marble than wood. Sit. Rest. It was not a suggestion. Lilia Saturday. Rian remained standing, arms folded, eyes scanning the grove like a sentinel carved from stone. Silence stretched between them, not hostile, but dense, like the air held unspoken things neither of them was ready to name. Lilia watched him, fascinated despite herself. Everything about him was at odds, the sharpness of his posture and the softness of the twilight glow that clung to him, the irritability in his tone and the quiet protectiveness in the way he positioned himself half a step between her and the shadows. You don't like humans, do you? Lilia asked. He did not even blink. I have no opinion about humans. That's not an answer. It is the only answer I will give. Lilia huffed a quiet laugh. You are very grumpy for a magical being. His eyes snapped to hers, startled offense flickering there before he turned away again. I am not grumpy. You absolutely are. He exhaled sharply through his nose. Lilia nearly cheered. A breakthrough. But then his gaze returned to the dark edges of the grove, and something in his expression softened, not toward her, but toward the place itself. Reverence. Maybe even sorrow. What is this grove, really? Lilia asked gently. Rian did not answer right away. When he finally spoke, it was in a low, careful voice. It is a sanctuary. A memory of what our world once was, before time and conflict unraveled its boundaries. Dawnlight exists between moments, between breaths. It holds everything fragile and lost. Something in his words tugged at Lilia's chest. Is that why I'm here? She asked softly. Because I'm lost? His eyes flicked to hers, sharp and assessing. No human enters without purpose, even if they do not know it. And you? Lilia asked before she could stop herself. Why are you here? He stilled. The grove seemed to quiet with him, listening. I am bound to this place, he said finally. bound to its safety, bound to its gates, bound to its solitude. The words settled between them, heavier than the rest. Lilia felt it then, beneath his stoic exterior, beneath the duty etched into every line of his posture, an undercurrent of loneliness. Ancient, quiet loneliness. "I'm sorry," she whispered. He blinked, confused. "For what?" "For the solitude," Lilia said. "It sounds like a heavy thing to carry." He looked away as though the words struck deeper than she intended. "It is not your concern." "Maybe not. But it doesn't mean I can't care." His breath hitched, so softly Lilia might have imagined it. The air between them hummed faintly, a pulsing warmth, then settled like the brush of a feather. Night settled deeper around them, though the grove remained in perpetual twilight. Fireflies, silver instead of gold, emerged in drifting spirals. Rian watched them with a faint, troubled frown. "What is it?" Lilia asked. "The grove stirs," he said. "It senses change." "Is that bad?" He hesitated. "Not necessarily." But his eyes kept drifting toward her. And each time, he looked away faster, as though the change was her. Hours passed, or maybe minutes. Time did not flow properly here. Lilia's eyelids grew heavy, and the soft glow of the heart water blurred. She startled when something brushed her shoulder. Rian stood over her, his expression unreadable. "You should rest," he said. "I'm fine," Lilia lied. "You are trembling." She looked down. Her hand shook slightly. "Fear? Cold? Magic?" She was not sure. Rian knelt in front of her, bringing them eye level. The grove drains mortals during their first night. "You must rest." His concern surprised her. So did the gentle way he said it. "I can't sleep," Lilia admitted. "I'm too scared. Overwhelmed. Lost. Awake." He studied her for a moment, then extended a hand. "Come." "Where?" "To a safer place." Lilia hesitated. But his hand remained steady, open, patient in a way that clashed with all his sharp edges. She placed her hand in his. Warm. Surprisingly warm. A faint, startled breath left him at the contact, as though he felt something too, but he said nothing as he guided her around the pool to a cluster of low trees whose branches weaved together into a natural alcove. Soft moss carpeted the ground. Petals drifted like falling stars. "This will guard you," he said quietly. "The grove recognizes my presence. It will not trouble you here." He stepped back, but Lilia still felt the echo of his hand around hers. "Will you stay?" The question slipped out before she could think. He stiffened. "I should keep watch." "That's not what I asked." His eyes met hers, full of things he was not saying. Slowly, reluctantly, he stepped closer until he sat a careful distance away, close enough that his presence warmed the air, far enough to pretend he was not watching her as she lay down. Lilia rested on the moss, turning slightly toward him. "Thank you," she whispered. Rian's gaze softened just enough to be seen only in twilight. "Sleep, Lilia." And for reasons she could not explain, she did. When she woke, the grove was thrumming. Magic rippled through the air like the shiver before a storm. Lilia sat up sharply. Rian was already on his feet, tense, eyes scanning the shadows. What's happening? Lilia asked. The grove is testing you. His voice was taut. It demands to know why you were brought here. Lilia scrambled backward on instinct. What is that? A sentinel spirit, Rian said. It judges intentions. If it deems you unworthy. He did not finish. He did not need to. The spirit drifted toward her, its shape bending like smoke around an unseen flame. Lilia's pulse hammered. I haven't done anything wrong, she whispered. It does not judge deeds, Rian said. It judges truth. The spirit's glow intensified. A tendril of light reached toward her chest, stopping just short of touching her. The air vibrated. The spirit paused. Lilia stared at Rian, shocked. Your protection. He did not look at her. His jaw clenched. She is harmless, he told the spirit. And she carries a heart that has not known corruption. Heat rose in Lilia's cheeks. Rian. The spirit shifted, turning its pale gaze fully upon him. The ground trembled. And then, like a struck bell, the spirit pulsed with light and dissolved into a harmless drift of mist. Lilia exhaled shakily. Is it gone? For now. Relief softened his rigid posture, though just barely. Are you hurt? No, Lilia swallowed. Thank you. He shook his head. It should not have approached you. The grove is unpredictable tonight. Because of me. He held her gaze for a long moment. Because of what you awaken. The word stole Lilia's breath. Before she could speak, he turned away sharply. Come. Sunrise approaches. We must reach the gate. The grove shifted as they journeyed, guiding them toward a rising glow. Rian stayed close, his hand brushing hers whenever the path narrowed. Each accidental touch sent ripples through her, light, fluttering, too fragile to name. They emerged into a clearing unlike any other. A towering archway of woven branches formed the gate, pulsing with faint golden light. The way home. Lilia's chest tightened at the sight. Rian stepped forward, pressing a hand to the arch. The gate shimmered, forming a thin veil of light. You may cross, he said quietly. The words felt heavier than they should. That simple? Lilia asked. For you. His tone dropped. Not for me. Lilia turned to him sharply. What do you mean? He withdrew his hand from the gate. Once it opens for a mortal, it will close to Fae until the next twilight. I cannot leave until the next cycle. But you said, Lilia stared at him. Rian, you haven't left this grove in how long? He did not answer. That was all the answer she needed. Rian, Lilia whispered, stepping closer, you protected me. You stayed with me. You fought for me. I can't just walk out and leave you trapped again. You must, he said softly. Your place is not here. And yours is, she demanded, frustration tightening her throat. Forever. It is my duty. Duty doesn't mean loneliness, Lilia argued. It doesn't mean sacrificing yourself. He flinched, as though the words pierced places he'd long kept hidden. The grove will fall if I abandon it, he said. Its gates will weaken. Spirits will wander. Magic will spill into your realm with no one to guard it. Lilia's breath trembled. And what about you? He looked at her then, really looked. His eyes softened with something fragile and unbearably tender. "What about me?" he asked, barely a whisper. Lilia's heart cracked open. "You deserve more than solitude," she said. "You deserve a life." "A life?" His lips curved in a sad, soft, almost smile. "My life is the grove." "No," Lilia said fiercely. "Your life is whatever you choose it to be." He closed his eyes, pain flickering across his face. Mortals speak of choice as if it is limitless. But some of us are carved from decisions made long before our birth. "Then make a new one," Lilia said. "Right now." His eyes opened slowly. Searching. Vulnerable. "For you," he whispered. Lilia had not meant to say so much, mean so much. But the truth rose in her like dawn. "For what's right," she murmured. "For yourself. And maybe for me too." His breath shook. The world seemed to hold still. Rian stepped closer, so close the twilight glow reflected in his eyes. He lifted a hand, hesitated, then cupped her cheek with a touch so gentle it nearly undid her. "You will forget this place," he said softly. "Mortals always do. The grove's memories fade like dreams. Then I'll remember you," Lilia promised. His fingers trembled faintly against her skin. "I do not want to be forgotten," he confessed. "Then don't let me go," Lilia whispered. Emotion flickered across his features, longing, fear, hope. All tangled together. The grove pulsed around them, responding. Lilia, her name in his voice was a caress. She covered his hand with hers. "Stay with me." He inhaled sharply. "If I leave, the grove may crumble." Or, Lilia said, it might finally be free. The idea stunned him. She saw it, the shift, the spark, the possibility he had never dared to imagine. And then dawnlight spilled over the clearing, bathing everything in gold. Rian looked at the rising sun, then at her. His decision formed in his eyes before the words left his lips. He laced his fingers with hers. "I choose," he whispered, "you." Warmth flooded through Lilia, joy and awe and something deeper. The gate flared open. They stepped through together. The forest on the other side felt familiar, earthly. Real. Birds chirped. Leaves rustled. Sunlight broke through the canopy. Rian remained at her side, gaze lifted in wonder, as though seeing the world for the first time. "Are you all right?" Lilia asked. He nodded slowly. "It is different. The air. The light. The feeling of freedom." He said the last word cautiously, like it might vanish if spoken too boldly. Lilia squeezed his hand. "Welcome to my world." He looked down at their intertwined fingers, then at her. "What will become of yours?" he asked gently. "Your life." Lilia smiled softly. "It just became a lot more interesting." He huffed the faintest, disbelieving laugh. "You are remarkable." "And you're still grumpy," she teased. "Only a little," he said, and for the first time, his smile reached his eyes. They walked forward together, sunlight haloing the path. Behind them, the gate shimmered faintly, then dissolved into golden dust. A new beginning. A new choice. And a fey gatekeeper who was no longer bound to solitude. As they stepped fully into the morning light, Rian slowed and turned to Lilia. The tenderness in his gaze made her breath catch. He lifted her hand to his lips and pressed a gentle, lingering kiss to her knuckles, steady, reverent, promising. "I walked with duty for lifetimes," he murmured. "Let me walk with you now." Lilia felt tears prick her eyes, warm, grateful. "You already are." With dawn warming their faces and the future unknown but theirs to choose, they continued down the path together. Not lost. Not alone. But finally found.